Detroit Lions fans, Detroit Den 313 with Steve and Will back with a game day episode. Ready to talk about the San Francisco 49ers getting belt to ass. real basic. So, Steve, start this thing.
Revenge. I want revenge, William, and I'm not going to fully get revenge. You can't make up for what they did to us last year, taking away a trip to the Super Bowl. I tweeted out a couple weeks ago, I said, man, I'm really looking at that San Francisco 49ers game. I want that to be an elimination game. I want to go out to San Francisco, beat that ass, belt to ass, whatever you want to say, BTA. I wanted to be the final nail in their coffin for the season and eliminate them from the playoffs officially. Well, that ain't going to happen, but let's talk about some situations that could happen before we even get to Monday night, William.
Let's talk about it.
I think the second biggest game of the week for us, Detroit Lions fans, actually happens at Sunday around 7:30 or 4:30. Packers and Vikings, William. I think having that Monday night football game, that's going to kind of set the stage for exactly what needs to happen. So I know we're a Detroit Lions podcast, but all season we've been talking about that number one seed, the bye week, all roads leading to Detroit. If the Green Bay Packers can beat the Minnesota Vikings on Sunday, that Monday night game means if the Lions win, we clinch the number one seed in the NFC. That is absolutely monstrous for us to have. How do you feel?
It doesn't matter.
Go, Pat, go.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I hope
one time I can't get it from you.
No, not yet. If they take care of business, I'll say it. If they take care of business, but honestly, I just love that we control our own destiny. See, so it's like, hey, if you guys want to take care of business, cool. If you don't, we'll just take care of business. Either way it goes. Because at the end of the day, it just means that I have meaningless football for the most part on week 18, right? You know what I mean? So if they take care of business, and then I don't know. Part of me is excited to see Hendon Hooker in a meaningful game, in a live NFL football game and not preseason. But at the same time, part of me selfishly wants to be in an electric atmosphere, playoff atmosphere, week 18, Minnesota Vikings, Detroit Lions.
Most likely Sunday night football.
Yeah, duking it out to see who's going to take that number one seed. So, I mean, I don't know, man. I'll take my cake any way I can have it, basically, as long as we're ultimately making that thing run through Detroit. I guess I should say that.
Yeah, like you said, if the Vikings decide they want to take care of business, that's fine. The Lions are holding all the cards. We'll decide what cards the Vikings get dealt in Week 18. Let's start the season with Sunday Night Football. Let's end the regular season with Sunday Night Football. Don't make no difference to us, but we'll see what the Vikings and the Packers end up doing. We'll hop on maybe Sunday night and have a little episode on that and see exactly what needs to be done. But shifting gears and getting ready for this 49ers game, William. 49ers team they're out. They're down. They're out. This hasn't been the season they expected. They went to the Super Bowl last year. This was a season where they had a lot of expectations too. It's over with. I don't think they can even really play spoiler to the Detroit Lions because even if there's a world where we lose, we still control our own destiny. So I'm looking at this 49ers team and I'm wondering what they're going to be doing. I don't think they have Christian McCaffrey. I don't know if Deebo Samuel's playing. Brock Purdy, their defense is banged up. How do you feel about this San Francisco team? Anything to worry about?
Dangerous. I think they're dangerous. And I think they're dangerous because I guarantee you, Greenlaw's back. Warner's going to be out there. Bosa's going to be out there. That defense is going to come to play. They got a guy that we really loved in the draft, and Renardo Green, playing good football. Ward's still out there. Their safeties are good, man. This defense is good, man. Brock Purdy threw for 300 yards last week. These guys are still putting their foot on the gas. So, but I think, and I won't jump the gate, but I think that there's some situations that really match up well for what we do as well, in this football game. So I'm not overly concerned. Like I'm not stressed, but I think they're going to come out and try to punch us in the mouth because although they can't make the playoffs, they can kind of get some momentum going into the offseason.
William, I had 2 games circled on my schedule when the schedule came out. Had to go to Dallas, take care of those Cowboys. Had to. Mm-hmm. That loss last year didn't sit well with me. And this 49ers game. All right. This
Yep.
is the biggest circle I had. Revenge. It's the only word I have for it. This is as close to revenge as I can get. I want to bury them. I want to humiliate them. I want to do exactly what we did to the Dallas Cowboys, the Tennessee Titans, the Jacksonville Jaguars. I want to run this fucking score up on them and let them know that the NFC, not just the NFC North, the NFC as a whole, belongs to the Detroit Lions.
Hey,
7 to 10 years, maybe 25. I don't know. I
I
want
like 25.
an absolute ass whooping on Monday. National TV. I want no mercy. Fuck Kyle Shanahan. Fuck Brock Purdy. F them all, William. I don't have any respect. I don't like anyone on that team. George Kittle's the most annoying human being in the world. If you've watched that show, Receiver, he's cringy to me. I can't even stand to look at George Kittle's nerdy, dorky ass and all the shit talk. I can't stand him. I hate the 49ers, William. I respect them as an organization because they built things a lot of the ways that I want the Detroit Lions to be, and we're right there with them. So this is an absolute revenge game for me.
Honestly, for me, just kind of like you said or alluded to in the beginning of this thing, I can't get revenge. I can't get revenge this week. Not like I want to. So for me, I just hope we get out of there healthy and with a victory. That's it. If we can do that, I'd be happy. Moving on to the next team because they're just to me at this current moment, they're just another non-playoff team on the schedule at this point. But respect to their franchise, they're a winning organization. Like, let's not in a winning football team. Let's not get it twisted. This is another one, and I would say even more enhanced than the Bears situation. This is not a 6-9 football team. This isn't a 6-win football team that you're looking at. This is a dangerous football team. This is a good football team that got dealt a bad hand as far as, and I know they're preaching to the choir when you're talking about injuries, but hey, listen.
Yeah, I'll be sure to shed a tear for the 49ers tonight.
Yeah, there's no tears will be shed, but playing that game without Christian McCaffrey, it's a lot, man. And I know that Jordan Mason came in and played some decent football, but they didn't play Kyle Shanahan, Christian McCaffrey style football, even though that he was successful on the ground with Mason. It wasn't the same type of dynamics that they like to do with Christian McCaffrey. And I think that Christian McCaffrey definitely makes that offense just electric, man. And I think it would have opened up some things for Deebo Samuel. So another reason why Deebo didn't have the success this season that he could have had, and then Brandon Ayuk going down. So listen, this isn't a 49ers podcast. They're dealing with injuries, so what? But I just say that to say this is a live opponent. This is a live opponent. This isn't somebody that's just going to go away. And I think Kyle Shanahan is still playing for his job, man. Like, if the Detroit Lions go in there and just beat them up, they might be looking at
some rumblings. Might be some talk around town.
There might be some talk around town, and I've threw out a scenario, and I don't want to get
Leave
this
Ben
thing
Johnson
weird.
out of this, William. Leave Ben Johnson out of this.
I don't want to make this thing weird, but I threw out a scenario at the beginning of the season, and I said that, man, if Kyle Shanahan became available after they stole Ben Johnson from us, Kyle Shanahan, Jahmyr Gibbs. You might as well just put Jahmyr Gibbs in the Hall of Fame. Kyle Shanahan is his OC. Like, good night. It's all she wrote, buddy. So
Jared Purdy.
I don't know. Yeah, it's over. It's over, man. So listen, anything can happen. But as I'm looking at this football game, Steve, I'm looking at this. Last week, Devon Achane just did what he wanted. He did what he wanted. I think I got the box score. I pulled it up ahead of time. Devon Achane, 17 carries for 120 and a tutty, and then had the audacity to have 6 receptions for 70. So
that's just rude, right?
Yeah, it's rude. Exactly. That's rude. That's rude football. You already know. So times that by what Jahmyr Gibbs can come into town and do, man, because I think Jahmyr Gibbs is equally as speedy, but more elusive and more powerful. I just think he's a better overall back. So I'm expecting big things from Jahmyr Gibbs this week. And then in the passing game, they kind of held those guys in check, but who had a pretty decent game was Jonnu Smith, man. So 6 receptions for 62 yards. Maybe we see Sam Lagoda having a good game.
Sam Laporta? I don't know anyone by that name.
Exactly, man. So this is a defense that has given up some a little bit of yards and a little bit of points, man. And we're the highest scoring team in football. And I think that when you can't move the football, because I don't even know who they have at running back. I think, what is it? Is it Patrick Willis or Patrick Taylor or whatever his name is?
Patrick Willis is a retired linebacker.
I know, I know. It's Patrick Taylor, but he's a big back, man. It's not speedy. He's not nowhere near anything that Kyle Shanahan has typically has in his running backfield, man. So I just don't think they're playing the type of offense that Kyle Shanahan typically wants to play. Brock Purdy threw it 40 times last week. That's not what Kyle Shanahan is. He wants to run that zone, and he wants to run it at you. He wants to slash you, dump it to his running backs, and then gas you with big plays over the top. Can't do that right now.
Offensively for the Detroit Lions, what do you think is the key to the game? Like you said, you've thrown out a lot of information. Maybe you already covered it, but offensively, I guess I'll start. I'm looking at when I watched that Netflix series Receiver, and I was sad, heartbroken. It's like you know the train wreck's coming at the end of the show with the Lions and 49ers. You know it's coming. You just gotta grip the sheets and take it sometimes. But I was sitting there and I couldn't turn it off, William. I couldn't. I got to take my licks. I watched Amon St. Brown leaving that field, and if I know anything about St. Brown, anything at all, and I don't know him personally, I know that he stores things in his mind for fuel. He stores things that he's going to later use for motivation. I think St. Brown is going to have a monster game. He remembers exactly what happened out there last January. He remembers exactly that feeling, watching the confetti and the stage being brought out of them celebrating the trip to the championship. I think St. Brown, who's playing damn good football right now, is going to be my offensive player of the game. I'm even going to predict a little early. I'm going to predict 9 catches, 155, 1 rushing touchdown, and 1 receiving touchdown. William, I think we're going to get a little jet sweep, a little trickery going once this game's out of hand. Once this game's out of hand, I think Ben Johnson's going to do what Ben Johnson does. Call it some trick plays, really just insult you on TV. Now, I think St. Brown gets a little end around for a touchdown.
I dig it, man. I'm going to go with a Hail Mary this week. I'm not going to go by anything other than a feeling I have down in my heart, right? There's no real rhyme or reason for what I'm about to say. But before I say it, I will put this out there because this is what's going to lead to it. You see these guys as of Friday, as we're recording, right? We got David Montgomery is the only one of these guys on the list that I don't think is going to play. Terry and Arnold had a little illness, limited practice on Friday. Graham Glasgow, coach already said that he would be back this week. But now we got Germ and we got Khalif Raymond. So Khalif may be back this week, full participant in practice. That is who I'm going with for player of the game this week. I think that he makes some huge plays on special teams. Welcome back. Maybe he has the end around. Maybe he has the gadget play. Maybe he has a big play, receiving. So the biggest thing, I'm not going to give the statistics other than this. I think he makes a huge impact on special teams, maybe takes a punt return to the crib. And then I think that he has a touchdown somewhere in this game, receiving or on a utility play. I think Ben Johnson is going to welcome him back because they love him. They love him in Detroit. He does all of the things, man. So, like I said, there's no rhyme or reason to this. Everything from the way that I analyze the games and break it down from the last couple of weeks is telling me to go in other directions. But I think that Khalif is going to surprise everybody, to include myself, and have a big game.
What about defensively? What do you think is the defensive key to this game? Like you said, I think I guess I'll start. I think the talk of the rest of the season is going to be how we handle that defensive line, if we're not getting moved around, if we're getting some pressure on Brock Purdy. I'm going to pick the money man. Do you know who the money man is this week, William?
Kirby Joseph.
It's a good guess, but no. Zadarius Smith has some stipulations in his contract. If he gets 2 more sacks, it's a $250,000 bonus. If he gets 4 more sacks, it's a $500,000 bonus. Yeah, hey, if you'd like to sponsor Detroit Den and maybe get us some upgrades, greatly appreciate it. So I'm thinking Big Z is going to have a good game. I think he's hungry, not just game motivation, but some money motivation on top of that. I think he gets at least 1.5 sacks against Brock Purdy. I think he's due for a big game. I look at the San Francisco 49ers, no Trent Williams. We didn't mention that at the beginning of the show. I don't know if they put him on. I think they put him on IR. They shut down Trent Williams for the season. One of the best tackles in the game. He's done. So I'm looking at Zadarius Smith going against a backup. That's going to be a mismatch, I think, for the Detroit Lions. I don't know who their backup left tackle is, but that's something that I would test early and often. If I was Aaron Glenn, I'd throw everything I could, everything but the kitchen sink at whoever that left tackle is. I don't know who it is. Do you have it by chance? Were you looking?
I don't have it up. I was looking at something totally different.
Yeah, I just think whoever that left tackle position is, if I'm Aaron Glenn, I'm looking at maybe a drop or two of blood in the water, and I'm going to attack that. And I think I'm going to start it right off the rip with Zadarius Smith.
Steve, I like it, and I think that you have a plausible opportunity to be correct. And here's why: because where I'm going is somewhere similar.
Because I've never been wrong a day in my life.
No, that's not where I was going at all. But maybe, I don't know. But here's why I think that you could be right. Brock Purdy dropped back and threw that thing 40 times last week. They have, I don't know, somebody that was probably working at a grocery store running the football right now. So I don't see them without Trent Williams and with a grocery bagger at running back. I don't think they're going to come out and establish a run game. So what do I see? I see them throwing that bad boy up. Now, we're playing some games with Brian Branch due to some of the things that we have going on defensively. What does that mean? Now, that means that Kirby Joseph is going to be that center fielder. That means that Kirby Joseph is going to be flying around, hovering, playing center field. I see Kirby Joseph being the defensive player of the game. I see Kirby Joseph getting his hands on yet another football, and I think that he's going to be hugely impactful in this football game. I just don't see how he isn't, because I don't see a world, Steve, where you throw the ball 40 times and one of those times you don't throw it to Kirby Joseph. I can't see a world where it happens. So that's what I'm thinking. Defensive player of the game, Kirby Joseph is going to get another interception. Brock Purdy is going to struggle because we're going to know what he's doing. And I would be remiss if I didn't talk about these two guys from last week. Amik Roberson played like an absolute freaking dog. I don't know how he isn't now our number 2 corner. He is. I liked what Carlton Davis has done all season. I loved what Amik Roberson did last week. Loved it, loved it, loved it, loved it, loved it. I can't say enough about it. He's an absolute dog. He hunts the football, as Coach Glenn says. He's punching at it. He's trying to intercept it. He's breaking up routes. He's talking his talk in your face. He's playing up in your face. He can play you off. When the ball goes into the air, even though he's a little guy, he believes that he's the receiver. That's who's getting the ball thrown to him. I just love the way he plays the game of football. I think that moving forward, there's going to be hard pressed for people to take that position from him. And I think that they're going to be looking at a world where they're having questions of what they do with Carlton Davis moving forward, man, because how good Amik Roberson is playing, man. He played some damn good football. Even I loved it on game day. When I went back and watched the film, I loved it even more. I don't know how you take him out of that spot, man. Like he's in CB1 conversation. If you're asking me, he played like a dog last week. Times that by having guys like Brian Branch, having guys like Ennis Rakestraw when he comes back, having Emmanuel Mosley to play around with, Ife Melifonwu. He's going to be an absolute dog for this defense. Just how impactful he was last week, and then hearing that even though he's been injured throughout this whole thing, he's been a part of every single walkthrough, every single DB's meeting. He's up to snuff on everything that the Detroit Lions are doing this year. So, man, I just think that this defense now is playing its best football on the back end, right? I'd love to have Brian Branch at safety, but what Ife Melifonwu offers from a versatility standpoint is huge. And then you could still play games where, hey, now I take Ife Melifonwu from the safety spot in certain situations, maybe third down situations. I bring him up, let him blitz. I move Brian Branch back to that deep safety position back there with Kirby Joseph. It's just so many things that you can do with this group defensively. The only thing that has been answered for the league that they must have been praying for is for us not to have a front four, because if we did, it'd be lights out. You might as well just put the rings on us. You might as well put the rings on us. So, guys, what we need you to do, Levi Onwuzurike, what we need you to do is Zadarius Smith, Josh Pascal, Jonah Williams, if you come back and get some action, DJ Reader. Guys, we need you guys to hold water. We need you guys to get to this quarterback. We need you guys just do enough. Just do enough. Get him off the express room. Get in his face if you're not going to get the sacks, because that back end, they're tough, man. And when we get Alex Anzalone back with Jack Campbell, it's lights out, man. I think I love this defense, to be honest.
You know who's probably just turning in their bed and not getting much sleep this week, Will, is probably a guy by the name of Kyle Shanahan. If you remember that NFC Championship game, Brian Branch was an absolute problem in that first half for the 49ers. He was a game wrecker. He did everything, tackling, blitzing, coverage. Kyle Shanahan's a damn good coach. He's a damn smart coach. He said, all right, but they use Brian Branch as a nickel. What can I do to get him off the field? Well, I'm going to put out certain formations that don't require a nickel to be on the field. You can no longer do that. As a matter of fact, we can use Brian Branch as a linebacker, a Sam linebacker, a nickel, safety, free safety, kick returner, punt returner, QB3. He could do anything. All right. So Kyle Shanahan's probably not getting much sleep this week because he knows I have to find a different strategy. He's probably going back and looking at that NFC Championship game to see what worked in the second half. We have different personnel. Our defense is completely different than what it was when we played them last year, and it was completely different than what we had in Week 1 of the NFL. So if I'm a defensive coach, and I'm going to ask you a question. Rule number 1, stop the run. Rule number 2, contain the quarterback. Here's the only thing that the San Francisco 49ers can do that concerns me is a guy by the name, I have to give him some respect as much as I hate him. He's a damn good tight end. George Kittle. How do you go about stopping George Kittle? Because on offense, if I'm containing Brock Purdy and I'm getting after him, it doesn't really matter. But if Brock Purdy's extending plays and making some people miss and buying some extra time, George Kittle's the guy he throws to more than not. How do I go about containing and stopping George Kittle? Who do you put on him in a one-on-one situation, man coverage?
Too easy. Iffy Melifonwu, good night. Iffy Melifonwu is the perfect skill set to cover tight ends. And last week we saw it a little bit when they were taking their tight end and they were bumping him out to the outside, Cole Kmet, right? They bumped him out to try to create a mismatch, probably hoping that somebody like Terrion Arnold or Amik Roberson ended up because they were on the outside at the X trying to cover him and then letting them big body him. No. They bumped Iffy Melifonwu out there, who's as big but faster, right? And gets in and out of his breaks cleaner than a tight end does. He's just an absolute problem. Now, do I want Iffy Melifonwu covering Devontae Adams, even though he has a defensive background, a cornerback background? No, I don't. But there's not a tight end in the league who I'm worried about Iffy Melifonwu covering man on man, or even if they make the catch, tackling. He's a physical specimen. He's just the epitome of a hybrid player. He is like a tight end's body playing defensive back, playing safety. So I don't know, man. I love what they're doing with him. I think we're only going to see more. He's been in the box. He's been outside of the box. He's been at outside corner, covering guys for matchup purposes. There's just so many different things that Iffy Melifonwu brings to this defense. I don't know, and this is me jumping ahead, but I'm always just thinking, man, about down the road because we got so many good players. I don't know. I couldn't be Brad Holmes trying to figure this thing out. But I don't know how you let a guy like Iffy Melifonwu out of the building because he offers so many matchup nightmares for offenses. It's unreal. You no longer get the big body us with even guys like I think of guys like I was gonna say Michael Thomas, but that's not who I'm thinking of. My man, Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Mike Evans,
yeah. So guys like Mike Evans, big body receivers like that. He can go match up with big guys like that, man. You can no longer big body us, man. So Terrion and guys like Amik Roberson, they don't got to worry about getting big boyed because we got that type of guy lurking around in our secondary. Or you can play him at the hybrid linebacker position. Like it's just so many different things that you can do with a guy like that. Brad Holmes has really outdone himself with what he said in the beginning of this thing when he started building it. I'm not looking for corners. I'm not looking for safeties. I'm not looking for linebackers. I'm not looking for defensive linemen. I'm looking for football players. Iffy Melifonwu was the epitome of a football player.
What do you think the 49ers are going to have a hard time stopping on our offense that's league best? What is like 33 points per game right now? Jared Goff playing like an MVP. Offensive line, you just plug and play. Graham Glasgow banged up. Hey, I'll throw in my rookie Christian Dirtbag Mahogany and have a day. If you're the 49ers, who's the one guy on offense you think they should worry about? Even if you don't think that they're going to be player of the game, just on offense, who do you think they're going to have a hard time covering?
Jahmyr Gibbs. Because if Devon Achane did what he did last week, they're going to have a nightmare with their offensive line plus Jahmyr Gibbs. Like a better offensive line and a better running back. I'm expecting big things out of Jahmyr Gibbs. Like I know I said that Khalif Raymond was the player of the game, but if I had to bet my house, I would bet it as Jahmyr Gibbs because I just don't know how you deal with them. And then on top of that, it's got to be Jared Goff because what does Jared Goff do phenomenally? Play action passing. So if we establish that run, Jared Goff is going to destroy you. I was listening to did you get an opportunity to see J-Mo on the St. Brown podcast?
Just clips,
Yeah.
not the full show.
I ended up watching it, man, and it was funny, man. It wasn't a lot of meaningful information on there. You got to weed through the crap to get the meaningful information, but it was fun to watch. I enjoyed it. But one of the things that St. Brown did talk about was the trick play and how Ben calls certain plays for certain looks. And if he doesn't get the look, he kills it. Right. And I've also heard on other podcasts that there's shots that are supposed to go to J-Mo. And oftentimes they'll get killed because they got a safety hovering over top of them like 15 to 17 yards away, or they got a safety bailing immediately to cover over the top of them. So those requests that we're making, sometimes they're getting called in the huddle, but they get killed because of the way that the defense is rolling or the way that they line up. But that just leads me to this. When I think about what we talk about all the time is when I look at football games, you either got a bunch of guys in and near the box in this offensive line, and then you got to deal with St. Brown, Laporta, Timothy Patrick, J-Mo. You got to deal with these guys. But yes, Timothy Patrick, maybe even TK85. You know what I mean?
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. You know what I mean? But you got to deal with all these guys going over your head. Then when they back these guys up, now we're just running the football at your face, man. And if you watch for alignment purposes, when I watch all 22, you watch these guys struggle with their alignments. They line up in the same defenses, but maybe I was lining up at 3.5 yards or 4 yards when I started the game, and shit, now I'm lining up at 6 yards or 5 yards because I'm trying to combat what they got going on offensively. That on the touchdown play, Stevenson was lined up in the stands trying to get depth away from J-Mo, man, and J-Mo still ran by him, man. So it's like that's the cool stuff that I like to watch, but I just don't know how you deal with this offensively if our run game is clicking because Jared Goff is an absolute sniper with that play action pass, and if you load that box, he's gonna get you. You don't load that box. Listen, I'm gonna keep saying it. The old Thurman Thomas deal. Y'all done mess around and let Demo get hurt. And we about to see the real Jahmyr Gibbs stand up, man.
I did see on that podcast that, or it might not even been on the podcast. It might have been in one of the Lions press conferences. I can't remember, but St. Brown was talking about that trick play and said that they had it called earlier in the game and Jared Goff killed it. So he's not going to just go out there and run a trick play just because it's fun. All right. He's going to do what's best for the team. I trust Jared Goff 100%. Outdoors, Monday Night Football. Jared Goff's lit it up on Monday Night Football. He's lit it up for the Lions all year. His most historic game was when he was with the Rams against the Chiefs, like, was it 52-55 or something? Like, Jared's capable of a shootout. I hope this game doesn't turn into a shootout, but I trust Jared Goff. I think our offense is just absolutely on fire right now. And this is the best time for them to be playing their best football. I don't have anything else for tonight. William, you got anything?
I'm excited, man. I'm excited. I'm excited and thankful, man. I still can't believe it sometimes. Sometimes I sit and think and like, it's like, man, people talk about us as being the best team in football. And I know they got a little bit off that bandwagon when the Buffalo Bills came and did what they needed to do to us to get us right back on that right mind track for this playoff run. It was a blessing. Thank you, Buffalo fans, Buffalo, for coming in here and doing what you did, because ultimately you gave us that moldy bread that we needed to get all our nourishment. We got it. And we took care of the Bears, and now that momentum is going to go take us into the Super Bowl run. But I just think, like, man, it's still hard to believe because, Steve, I know that you were overseas when we didn't win a football game.
No, I was in boot camp.
Oh, okay. You're right. That's right. So
never happened. I never saw a single game. So as far as I'm concerned, 0-16 never happened. It's just a myth.
It's just a mystery. Yeah, it's just a myth.
But the last time I missed a game was when the Lions went 0-16. So ever since I've been watching, we've won at least one game since then.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you this: you won't miss another game for the rest of the season, because last time we missed a game this season, we got our ass kicked. But anyway,
Buffalo.
But I say that to say, man, I still remember that, man. I still remember what it felt like to go in and just be thinking, shoot, when we started podcasting, we hadn't started winning yet.
No.
So, I still remember, man, getting on here and trying to
we were
polish a turd.
13-1, and then we started this, and then we started the season 1-6. And I was just like, I don't know. Podcasting's not very fun. We're losing football games. Podcasting sucks. Going to football game sucks. Nothing, there's not a lot of positivity in my life that year.
Man. Yeah, so it's got me humbled, man. I know a lot of people get on here and they say, "Oh, you guys are slappies, man. You guys think you're so arrogant and blah blah blah." But I know we talk about it off air, man. It's a crazy run, man. Hopefully, like we said earlier in the podcast, let's do it for another 25.
Final question: Who do you want to win in this Vikings and Packers game?
Packers.
Really?
Yep.
Not me. I want those Vikings to win.
Yeah.
I want them Vikings to win. I want blood. William, I'm in a killer's mentality this week. All right.
See.
I want the Vikings to win. I won't be mad if the Packers win, but it's going to be a good football game. But I want no questions. I want no reserves. I want the NFC North to be all on the line. Sunday Night Football. Both teams would be 15-2. Let's do it.
Yep.
Let's have 2 15-2 teams play and settle the best records for the NFC North in history. And it's going to suck because whoever loses, regardless of what happens, I don't think that a 15 or a 14-3 team should be a wild card. That's absolutely insane to me. It's absolutely wild that a team like the Buccaneers are like 9-8 or something, and they're going to get a home game. But the Lions or Packers, whoever loses, is going to have to go on the road and play a team. I don't know. It doesn't make any sense to me. But that's the way the NFL is. So I want the Vikings to win. Final question, William. Score predictions. Your least favorite part.
Easy. Listen, this week I'm excited for it, man, because I think that it's going to be a fun one. The Lions have been averaging, like we said before, almost close to 34 points, I believe, a game. And I think that they score again this week. I don't think that it's quite 34. I'm not going to disrespect the San Francisco 49ers defense like that. But I do say that I think that it's going to be 28 points for the Detroit Lions. And I think that the Detroit Lions defense is going to hold Brock Purdy in check. I don't think it's going to be too crazy. I think that he goes with a modest 16 points. Can't punch it in the end zone. Bunch of field goals, 1 touchdown. I think that's what we're going to be looking at, man. 28-16, Detroit Lions, easy win. I don't think we're going to be stressed out. I think we're going to be in the driver's seat the whole game. Steve, where are you going?
That's not enough blood for me, William. 28 points is not enough blood. I need 40. I need this Detroit Lions. I mean, I'm not even reaching. We're averaging 34.
I know.
One more touchdown. I'll say 45-27 Lions. I think this will be a big game. I think the Lions can score 45. I saw what they did to the Cowboys, William. That was a statement. They were not happy about what happened. And that wasn't even our biggest loss of the season. What happened in San Francisco will not go unnoticed earlier this year. Okay. When we roll in there on Monday night, I think you're going to see, I want you to watch Dan Campbell when he comes out of that tunnel. If his ears are red, it's 45. You'll just know that. If his ears are red and he looks pissed off, like he just gave the speech of a lifetime before the boys come out of the tunnel, you'll know 45 points. I'm even going to text you. I'm going to say, Dan Campbell, 45 points, and you'll just know. So, guys, we covered a lot in this episode. We talked some Vikings and Packers. Drop your prediction for that. Who do you want to win, Vikings, Packers? Do you want a nice, easy road, or do you want that Week 18 to be meaningful? Drop your offensive, defensive player of the game. Drop those score predictions. Stick around. Hit that like button. We'll be back later with another show.
Peace.